is Blockchain Bullz. All right, so we got some moon boys in the audience. I know that. I'm a moon boy myself. I want to go to the moon, this and that. But the thing that I've noticed about moon boys is they only like when the price goes up. They can't handle anything else, and they need that price to go up within the first 7 days that they bought that, preferably in the first 24 hours. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, there are people out there who do expect this. I know this because I read comments, right? So if you're one of those people in the audience who's a moon boy, this one might be for you, but this channel might not be entirely for you. So anyways, I want to talk about taking profits. For those of you who like videos like this, you'll want to go to our homepage where it says crypto training videos. You could see I've got a whole bunch of stuff on here for even some of the novice investors, but you could see everything from how to get started in cryptocurrency for beginners, how to research altcoins, what is market cap, investing do's and don'ts. This video is actually going to go into that category because it's all talking about profit taking, basically how to know how to take profits. Before I get started, I have to say I'm not a professional financial advisor. This is infotainment. Please do your own research always and realize that this is just information to plant the seed for you to get started on your research process. So, but I'm not a professional on any of this stuff. So the first thing I want to say about profit taking is in finance, profit taking or taking profits is the practice of selling an asset, mostly shares, when the asset has risen in price. This allows investors to convert the increase of an asset's market value into cash. See, they take it and make it so much easier on Wikipedia than if I was to try and say that in a lot more words, right? But you guys get the idea. Profit taking is when you sell an asset that has gained in appreciation. So where have we seen this? All right, so if we just go to Essentia, here's an example. I have people in the audience, they want to know why I don't keep talking about Essentia so that their price can keep going up for them. They've said this in the comments. They're like, oh, why don't you keep talking about Essentia? Because they might have bought up here and then it went down. But if you bought down here when we first started talking about it at 2-3 cents and it went up to here, if you guys are up here and you guys think that you want to take profits because there can be this ride down. If you can handle this because you're long-term, great. Being a long-term investor has a lot of benefits, including tax benefits, which we're going to touch on in this video. But you have to understand, as I said on my Twitter, by the way, you guys can follow Blockchain Bullz on Twitter, and you can also follow me personally on Twitter at BlockchainJ. I did recently say, right here, I said, if you are in the profits with any of your positions and you do not take your profits and ride the price back down, always remember that was your decision and no one else's. So if you buy down here or if you buy right here and the price of Essentia goes up and you hold on to your bag, that's your decision. You have a choice whether or not you want to sell and take your profits. If the price goes up and then you ride it back down, that was your choice. Was it not? Yes, it was. Because I don't know you guys personally in the audience. I might know maybe 1 or 2 people in the audience, but most of you, I've never talked to you personally on a cell phone call or anything like that. So I just want to remind a lot of people, because I think people forget that it is ultimately your decision what you do with your cryptocurrency and your investment strategy. So let's keep going into this. So thanks to Fidelity, which obviously is a stock company, but they give guidance on investing strategies. So making positions, when to cut and run, when to take profits. So you could see they've got all this stuff on there. If you wanted to learn more about this, you can go right in there and talk about or learn about portfolio management, bad behavior, the 7 deadly sins. Look at this. Averaging down into losing positions. So people, they buy when the price is going down, down, down. Sometimes that's buying the dip, but buying the dip in a descending asset class, right? So, or in a descending asset, something that keeps crashing down. Or over concentration into too few positions, investing in illiquid positions, falling in love with the stock position or management team. This is big. I see this more often than anything else. We get people who become what we call in cryptocurrency fanboys. So they invest in XRP, and XRP could, no matter what's happening, the worst news, the worst FUD could be coming out, but they refuse to sell their XRP because they're absolutely in love with the project. So some people won't sell because they think it's going to go to 10x or 100x. So when they're 5x in the profits, they won't sell because they're just in love with the project. It's we call it fanboys, but you could call it what you want. It's basically falling in love or getting married to a position. And that's, by Fidelity standards and by many standards, that is considered one of the 7 deadly sins, is falling in love with your position, falling in love with the crypto. excessive use of margin, over concentration in one sector. Like if you were to just invest in crypto and only invest in oracles or only invest in NFTs, you want to stay ahead of the curve on that. So there's also another strategy that you may want to consider. It's defensive investment strategy. So a defensive investment strategy is a conservative method over portfolio allocation and aimed at minimizing the risk of losing capital. So stop losses, right? So when you get into a position, sometimes you don't want to ride it all the way back down. So you put a stop loss. So let's just say you buy Essentia at, or I don't know, let's say you buy Bitcoin. I'll use more of a larger asset, right? So say you bought Bitcoin at $45,000. You're in the profit right now. And you're kind of like, okay, I'm in profit. I want to make sure I lock in that profit. And if anything crazy happens overnight where the market sells off because a bunch of FUD comes out in the middle of the night while you're sleeping, you have a $55,000 stop loss. Now, bear in mind, when this price goes up to $65,000 or $75,000, you can move up that stop loss to $70,000 if it's at $75,000. So you can always move up your stop losses. But that's more of a defensive strategy, because you're kind of playing defense in the event that something crazy happens in the middle of the day or in the middle of the night when you're not paying attention, right? Now, stop losses can be a pain in the butt because it can just go right. So let's just say you put your stop loss in at 70,000, it goes from 75 down to 68 and then rebounds really hard like a slingshot and then swoops back up to 80,000. Now you don't have any of your Bitcoin. So do be aware, when you do put a defensive strategy in place, you can get stomped out of your positions, and that's not always ideal. But diversification is another thing that you may want to consider. So the primary components of a diversified portfolio, according to Fidelity, again, domestic stocks, bonds, short-term investments, international stocks. So a way that you can consider investing in cryptocurrency would be like, so here's one thing you can do. You can invest in the Coinbase IPO, or invest in Coinbase when it comes out. I believe the ticker is going to be coin. Also holding some of your Bitcoin, right? You also do Bitcoin. Maybe you do something like hedge fund management. Maybe you're participating in mining. So diversifying into these different categories of what you're doing in cryptocurrency can also be something benefit, not just in diversifying your projects. So maybe you're invested in NFTs. Maybe you're invested in oracles. You got some Bitcoin, you got some smart contract developer platforms. So, having diversified solutions. Also, short-term investments, which we're going to have to talk about taxes, because that's the 1,000-pound elephant in the room when it comes to being short on a position. If you don't hold your position for more than a year, you are vulnerable to short-term capital gains. So you can look into this here on Forbes. So how is cryptocurrency taxed? I want to really touch on this, but basically it is taxed as a physical asset, right? So you have should be treated as capital assets like stocks or bonds rather than a currency like dollars or silvers. This decision has major ramifications. So it's basically taxed like stocks, okay, and bonds, which is fine because it's like, okay, tomato, tomato. If I invest in stocks or if I invest in cryptocurrencies, I still got to pay the same. But the understanding capital gains is where you're really going to have to pay attention. Now, one of the things that they recommend when it comes to capital gains versus capital losses, something that you can consider is if you're in a dead or dying position, instead of being like, oh man, I don't want to take a loss on it, sometimes those losses can actually work in your benefit in terms of tax benefits, because if you get out of a dead and dying position, and so now you've chalked up maybe a $2,000 loss, but you take that money that's dead and dying, now you've got a capital gains loss of $2,000. You get into something that's moving and going to be huge, and then you take profits on that, but you can also factor in your capital gains loss. So that's why you have a lot of these wealthy people who have quote unquote tax write-offs. Tax write-offs are things that they take a loss on at the end of the year. Here's an example of where I've seen this in practice. So I've seen this in practice with, by the way, I'm going to go on the IRS website and talk about this here in a second, but let me tell a quick story. So I've seen this in Kona, Hawaii. So in Hawaii, you would have these guys, they had fishing boats, right? And so they have a fishing boat, a yacht, but they turn that into a business. So they're living in California, but they've got a fishing charter business where they pay a captain and everything. So what they do is they create a fishing company business, where they take people out. And that way the boat's not just, collecting rust and getting mothballed sitting in the harbor if they don't go out there for 6 months or 7 months. So they have like this business, but it's losing money. So even though it's losing money, he's willing to take that loss because it's a write-off, not necessarily capital gains, but it's a write-off because his business is losing money, but he's still got his fishing boat that's out in Kona. So you guys get the idea of how these taking losses can actually end up being a good thing in terms of taxation. Another thing that I would definitely recommend you guys looking into is, are minor fees considered capital gains losses? So, on Uniswap right now, you're paying a lot in minor fees. And what I would like to know, if someone's a tax professional out there, can you answer that question? Will those minor fees be counted as losses in those trades? Because some of you guys are, on $1,000 trade paying $70 to $100 in fees, and I would just be curious if that's considered a capital gains loss. Anyone out there who wants to answer that, because that is a question that I'm curious about. So what is virtual currency? Virtual currency is a digital representation of a value that functions as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value. In some environments, it operates as real currency. Okay, so virtual currency, basically, the IRS didn't want to get to the point, but basically virtual currency is not something you touch like a paper dollar or a paper coin. Thank you, IRS, for giving the really long, drawn-out version that didn't get straight to the point. Tax consequences. The sale or exchange of virtual currencies or the use of virtual currencies to pay for goods or services, or holding virtual currencies as an investment, generally has tax consequences that could result in tax liabilities. So even if you spend your cryptocurrency, believe it or not, that's a taxable event. Now, I don't know if that counts as a loss or what, but everyone's all excited to go buy a Tesla with their Bitcoin, and then they find out that that's a taxable event. And so you might want to look into that. I'm not a tax professional, but you guys can look into that. If you are a company who does specialize in cryptocurrency taxation, please reach out to me, because people want to know this information, especially this time of year. It is tax season. Heck, we would even take on a sponsor who does cryptocurrency taxes professionally. As long as you're a legit company operating, we'll do our research on that company, of course. So at the end of the day, I wanted to talk about taking profits, because this is something that people struggle with, because sometimes they're scared of the tax consequence. Sometimes they become fanboys and they fall in love with the project. But I just wanted to talk about that on this channel. So hopefully this clears some of the air about making sure at points in time you guys are taking profits, because at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to you to manage your portfolio. Not on a YouTuber, not on a Twitter personality, not on the Winklevoss twins, not on me, not on any of your favorite who knows what people, your brother who got you into cryptocurrency, your sister who got you into cryptocurrency. It's ultimately up to you. So do not be scared to take profits, I would say. And sometimes, you can't be so scared to take profits because of taxes. Because think about it like this. Are you scared to get income because you have to pay income tax? So why be scared to take profits on cryptocurrency because you have to pay taxes? You get it? So lock in your profits, take your gains, and sometimes what people do, they'll take their gains and they'll reinvest it in the next up-and-coming hot project that's coming up. So maybe they put 1 Ether into something, it turns into 3 Ether. They send their 2 Ether off to their cold wallet and store it there. Now they got another Ether to just play with and reinvest back into the market and just keep growing over time. Okay, guys, hope this helps. Like I said, come down here to cryptocurrency training videos. Share this video with your friends and family if you guys want to help guide them on taking profits. This is something I think that everyone should be aware of, but also these training videos, super useful. People charge for courses like this. I'm basically giving it away free right here, right now. And you can go to the whole playlist right here and you can see everything that's on there. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Subscribe and turn on the bell if you guys want to get notifications. You just go all.